Welcome back to the Nature of Education podcast. My name is Yvonne, and this week I am joined by Adam O'Sullivan. Adam is a movement practitioner and online coach. He's a teacher and founder of Movement Practice Dublin. He is over a decade into his coaching journey and moved from a quote-unquote traditional fitness background to the niche world of movement. Adam has studied with multiple movement teachers across the globe that would be masters in their field. He teaches in-person classes and coaches online while also continuing his studies with the Human Movement Studies under Marcello Palazzo. Adam, so good to have you here. I'm very excited about this
Thank
conversation.
you.
How are you doing?
Good, yeah. Yeah, great. It's a sunny day. We're getting the
It's
sun back.
beautiful,
That's
yes.
amazing. Yeah, it's great.
Ah, what relief. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Adam, I'm really excited to talk to you because movement is something that we do bring into the schools when we're doing workshops just to kind of shift the energy a bit. It's also something that I saw that you had in terms of your studies was using it as a lens for knowing yourself through movement, which I thought was interesting. And I just love the curiosity, the wonder, the playfulness that you bring to your practice as well. So I'm
Mm.
really excited to dive in and even just to give us a bit of background. How have you come to get into movement in this way? What's your story, I suppose we'll start with?
Yeah, my story. So fitness was my original beginnings. It was getting into the gym, really just found the sense of well-being I got from somebody who I was active as a kid, then had a big, massive decade of smoking and drinking and, all of that stuff, party, nuts, the whole lot. That's the reality for a decade probably. But I always had that reference point of movement equals feel better. It's a bit empowering. It essentially gets you active, and that passes over to everything really. If you're a physically active person, you have the energy to push yourself and do things, and you know, kind of overcoming certain obstacles. Fitness gave me that and opened the door. But I felt after a few years that it was a little bit limiting because I was purely focused on what I look like and the body image side of things. And it ran its course. And I am very creative by nature, and I love expressing myself, which I didn't know before. In fitness, I didn't really know that. But then I started looking into theatre and went to workshops for movement for theatre and going into dance classes. And I ended up dancing for a year and ended up signing up to do a show for charity and the whole lot. And it just personally, it broke me apart from a lot of the, you know, internal shackles that I accumulated through fitness. And it just opened up a different door for me, really. And once I got a little bit further in it, I couldn't go back to what I was doing. So that's where I'm now more of a generalist and explore multiple fields over the last, let's say, 5 years more intensively.
Amazing. So a journey and like that movement being like you could feel that, okay, it makes me feel better, but there's certain limitations that might come from the fitness aspect, and then even being
Mm.
maybe a little bit outcome driven and body image and how am
Yeah.
I looking, as opposed to how do you feel that's shifted now? What do you get from it now that is different maybe to how you approached it before?
I really feel that it's ongoing, it's always changing, and it's really uh, there's needs and wants that are always like with everything we do. It's needs and wants are always dancing with each other. So right now where I'm at, um, it's one side very practical, and some of it is kind of outcome based. My handstand practice and mobility and thing is focused towards a goal. So I think one of the things with it is that that's always a dance. You have goals, but you need certain things. So if I go too far down the rabbit hole on structure and order, I it starts to get heavy, like if you're just doing the sets and the reps. I think you need something. So an example is in our classes we have acrobatics, and it's very much you first do the prep, your mobility, things like that. Then it goes into maybe some handstand and partner work to get exposure. Then we start to do kick-ups. Then we go into some acrobatics and they learn isolated pieces. And at the very end of class, to not spook people that are new to it. With improv, we call them combos. So people do 3 movements, and that's where they can express themselves in the 3 movements that they've learned. And
Mm.
I feel without that piece, there's something missing. And that's how I feel about my own practice is if I'm just doing sets and reps, there's no room for me to express myself and go into the more creative side. And it's missing something. So
Mm.
over the years, though, I was doing random stuff. So I was going into theater and I was going to dance classes, but it wasn't fully connected. Where now, studying, studying under teachers who have studied these systems and looked at this from a very well put together lens, you have the isolated pieces and then going towards expressing yourself and learning about yourself through movement. It's really well put together, basically, and that's why I continue to study it, because all of it, no matter if it's on the rail or you're doing acrobatics or maybe it's athletically, it goes in a one piece on its own, but putting it to a greater whole is really all of the practice I'm involved in, which is great, because it has that piece that I feel like it's just needed. You just really need that piece.
Mm.
So that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
amazing. I love that
Yeah.
evolution, and even it sounds like it's nearly I don't know if it's an innate need nearly to have that. It sounds like for you, it is very much that creative expression is very key and important. But even in terms
Mhm.
of practice, it sounds like it's gone from somewhat of a masculine in terms of energy, like structured, like doing, like
Oh,
just
yeah.
bringing in that feminine kind of flowiness, but there's still a container to it. It still has that,
Yeah.
it's nearly like a container holding the water for the feminine. The feminine can do its thing, but it
Mm.
really nicely. Have you found that
Yeah.
it feels necessary to have both in that way?
Eh, I love this. I love this, and I'm so glad yeah, I'm on here with you, because the first time I did a podcast was just super anxious, and I was like my mate, and I just never stopped yapping. But I feel this is the right time for this. Um, that is something very personal, let's say, for each person, right?
Mhm.
But I can tell you from my experience and what that looked like when I went from, if we look at uh, bodybuilding and things like that, I from the fitness world into movement, and they all have a little bit of spice towards each other. I've tried my best to not get too sucked down, that I always try my best to say that bodybuilding's great and movement's great and all these places are great, but you fall into traps at certain points.
Mm.
They're all very useful. So like we need the masculine, we need the feminine, we need all these things, and we just need to know when to use them and when one is being used too much and for too long.
Mm.
And for me, like, I just talked about this morning with my dad, and my partner was like, you fall into a trap as a man of being in a certain mode. And dance was the first time that I really felt emotionally I was able to express myself. Like I very much no expression before that, in any way. Like with a partner, I wouldn't have been able to say how I'm feeling, or anxiety. I'd be like, I just thought that this is how you're meant to feel,
Yeah.
like, and it was never able to verbalize anything. So it really had a profound experience on my life. And, dance was the door that opened that.
Yeah.
Um, and you can also rebel, go so far down the feminine that you forget that this fiery engine is super powerful, and you need it for certain contexts. Like, so yeah, like that's a constant dance as well, all of it, because I love it. I love the expressive side. But then when I went too far down there, I found that my inability to go back and then put the structure in order was very difficult. So you need to go back and be like, no, no, you're doing this and that's that. And you sit down and you do your work and then come back and express yourself. So yeah, it's a dance. Everything I think we're
And
gonna talk about. So the container for both of them is that's another thing. It's an idea from some teachers I've worked with, the movement is a container in some way that um you can look at it as purely practical. I want to get this skill, right? And you can do that. That's no problem. But you can look into it as another. There's a container here of handstand, and then there's another container down here, and it's like you look at it as patience, and less reactive, more responsive, and trying to work on them elements inside you for the skill. And that's another choice. You can do that as well. And that is where I feel when you look at it purely from the skill and the outcome, it doesn't have as much weight as when you're like, oh, I'm very impatient with my handstand journey, and I'm being very impatient, and I need to cool the jets on that, and you know um water it down a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Bring that water.
yeah, yeah,
Amazing. Yeah, there's so much in what you've said. I'm like, where do I honey, and I'm sure we'll cover everything in some ways, but
yeah,
even in terms of that, like, you're a movement teacher, and yet I feel like movement has taught you so much, it sounds like, or even the skills required for the skill, like that, things like
yeah.
patience. What are some of those notable lessons that you feel like maybe you've gotten from it?
you know with these, like, chats like these, or social media and anything in general, it's nice to say what it is that it's done, but
Mhm.
also I want to be real in terms of the reality of, it. I try my best to do this thing, but I also am always working on it. So,
Yes.
like, when I first started with the handstand journey, it was just treating it the same way as when I went for strength to try push, where what changed it was the trying to be more sensitive, which again comes from going back to the feminine thing you were talking about, is
Yes.
trying to soothe and stop wanting the outcome and calm down a little bit, like cool the jets.
Yeah.
And that was something during a period that was really chaotic because I was studying and I moved back to Ireland. The handstands were like a soother. Like, it was really like, kick up again and don't get angry, kick up again and relax and it's okay, and just repeating that and kicking up and then not caring about how long I'm holding for. So that was really good because it was self-soothing in a chaotic time, and handstands served that for ages. And other things like coordination. So
Right.
I have ADD and ADHD diagnosed when I was around 12. Motor control and things like that have always been, like, writing even has been very difficult, like handwriting. So that's been something that I really have struggled with, but I do it because of that. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I rebelled against the narratives that come with ADD and ADHD because they limited me for a long time, but it's taught me to, like, no, no, that's the masculine side. It's like, no, I am doing this thing and I'm going to get good at it because I'll just withstand whatever comes up. Do you know, like, frustration? No problem. I'm going to keep going and doing it. So, like,
Mm.
that's the resilience. The other side, that's taught me a lot of resilience because I've had to just keep coming back and sucking at something,
Yeah.
which has been, I'm still to this day, that's going to be my struggle going forward for sure, but I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, the big things right now, it's teaching me is to try to just, the main one would be like overwhelm and managing my emotions. If I was to say that's what it's teaching me now, um, but there, all the other ones I was talking about is like patience, resilience, be a bit more gentle. They're
Yeah.
all the result of what I've been doing probably the last 2 years,
Yeah.
you know, the main ones, if I think about it.
Yeah, nice. And I love that even in terms of as a relationship with movement, because I think there can be, and I know from my own background, competitive gymnast, it was very much like performance and obligation, or at other times it was more
Mm,
punishment, or like I have to do this because, or trying to manage certain things within myself to come to
mm,
a place of, even I love that it's like part of the name of the school, like movement practice, like it's a practice.
yeah,
where It's
yeah.
like an ongoing conversation with the skills that you're engaging in, or with yourself engaging in these skills as you're engaging in with them. And
Yeah.
just even like allowing that to develop and allowing yourself to be on that journey without it having to be so maybe urgent, or like for me a lot of perfectionism would come in, and so the frustration would
Oh,
be
yeah.
very real at
That
times. But like let yourself, like, I'm expressing, or I feel like from watching you, it's my perception anyway, is it's nearly like a lot of following breadcrumbs. Like, I'm going to try this, or I'm going to explore this, and it's very like intuitive, I suppose. And again, coming into that femininity with it, think
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
have a
it's a new age, isn't it? Like, it's a new age because I chop apart the conversation I've been having. I use some of it. Someone I was speaking to who's much older than me, uh, they didn't have that, that open, that window.
Mm,
Like, it's an age of man is this and woman is that, right? Um, that sucks. That sucks for a lot of people because
mm,
I'm grateful for the fact that I don't know what, maybe it's my mom. She's super open and creative. Like, I'm super grateful that I did do it, even though because that's the thing. Loads of the stuff I did, it didn't have any big outcomes. Like going into dance would it probably, I could have got more clients and done X, Y, Z as a personal trainer. Was like, oh, I want to go do this,
mm,
like, so could have been super more busy and done online and all that back then. But I had something in me just gone, no, I need to find out about this. But I'm super grateful because without that, like other things just wouldn't have happened. Like this wouldn't be happening.
mm,
It just would have none of the stuff I'm doing now without just that level of just openness to just go try something, and um I think you asked one question when we were chatting before about, for other people. That's what I wish more people would do.
yeah.
Um, because I see it now with some stuff that I bring across in the class is if I bring something across too soon, then it's met with lots of resistance. Or if I bring, an improv session, if I brought that over to people who just came for acrobatics, if I brought that over too quick, it's too much.
Mm,
It's a jump into the sea rather than dipping the toes.
yeah.
So trying to manage that has been something that I think it's good also because when you do go into these things, like you could go to a dance class and it's just full performance. People are going for it. And it's like you might be super overwhelmed by that and just be like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Where dipping your toes is good. But yeah, this is what yeah, sorry, I'm gone off now, I
No,
think. I
you're
don't know.
good.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
No, it's perfect. Yeah. Hang on.
Mm.
Had a thought and it has gone.
You said something about relationships there. That was something that I think I just had a conversation with um two other coaches. This is all came up, it's in the air.
Yeah.
Two other coaches that I'm working with. And we sat down and wrote down the next phase of our thing, our programming and stuff. And when we're trying to dig into why everyone wants or what they want, why and what do they want and what is this to them, and trying to get all the language out ultimately it was all about the relationship to the process, you know. Um, all the stuff that we've talked about so far in the call is like the fire, the water. What do you need now? Are you full of fire and you're just absolutely sending it every session? And is that something that is serving you,
Mm,
And can you pull back a bit, be a bit lighter and, stuff like that? And I feel like that's going to be, I'm not fully there in terms of the conversation. So next time when I speak to you, I'll have more data, but
of course.
that is going to be the open conversation of the next while,
Yeah.
because I feel like all the modes are needed. We need all them because they serve different purposes, but it's just about fine tuning how much and when, what volume is too high and what do you need to turn down a little bit lower, you know.
Yeah.
Um, that relationship is, I feel like, the biggest conversation that's needed around exercise and movement in general, because there's certain influences that would point you too far in one direction that you don't need to go right now.
Mm,
And they might mislead you, you know? You might
totally.
be super 10 out of 10, ready to go. And you actually don't need that right now. You need something lighter. And the other is opposite. If you're in sloth mode, and you're here, you need to go and feel the fire. You need to do it. So,
Mm.
that's yeah, it's an interesting topic.
Oh yeah, totally. I imagine it would probably correlate as well with your relationship with yourself and how that's developing. And even a few things that you said there, like for you as a man to go and dance when you were so maybe not connected with your emotions and expression, but there's something in
Mm,
you that it sounds like there's something in you that's pulling you towards certain things, even if maybe the external doesn't support that or promote that, or certain
yeah.
conditions or contemplations might, like even around, I could be doing this in personal training, but I knew that wasn't for me. How do you notice your relationship with yourself being reflected through how you approach movement?
That's a deep one. How what my relationship? Say that again. Can you ask the question again?
How do you notice your relationship with yourself as that's maybe grown, being reflected in how you approach movement?
Um, so if I'm being honest, like I put it in my bio on Instagram intentionally because I know my goal is to relate to more people rather than what I see most these days is people are trying to like they're tribal or whatever it is. And I try my best to, when I figure out something about myself, I really I want to know other people that are experiencing that. Like that's what, my dad went and studied genealogy to find out about his ancestors before ancestry and all that stuff and
Mm,
know more about himself, like through them. I feel like that's all of our journey. You figure out something about yourself and you're like, who is actually still going through this and can I share back something and hopefully that by being open it will open a door for somebody else that's there. That's the I don't know, I think that's the highest ideal
mm,
in what our journey is. But the relationship from the beginning was one of like, if I'm honest, like it's like self-hatred and punishment.
mm,
Because the upbringing and how I lived in the world as a young fella was just not great, being very separate from others in school and, you know, being different, being a little bit like, chaotic and being in a chaotic environment when you're growing up, it shapes how you act in the world. And
mm,
that in fitness, there much people I don't believe will admit it, but a lot of people are doing it, and punishing themselves through exercise. And I just couldn't do it anymore, like I needed to stop. So the relationship back then is that's what it was. I got lots of benefits from it as well. Like I got away from smoking and drinking and doing
mm,
drugs and that helped me clear my lungs out and I did have more capacity to take action in the world. This was great. I went back to study and took on that thing of like I'm not smart with ADD and ADHD, these narratives. That was, a journey. And then at some point it was like I'm strong. I went back to more functional training to improve my joints and feel better and do all that stuff, but that also came to a thing where it's like, am I just training to just not get injured? I'm playing it safe. And then it's like, what the questions I asked was, what do I want to do first? That was like into dance and all that stuff. But then the big question was like, before I got busy with personal training and doing all this stuff was like, what? Because COVID came. And I was like, what did I want? Like, what was I always curious about, or what did I want to do before I got busy or work? Or if the world shut down now and it never opened up again and the COVID is forever, what would I do?
mm,
And that was curiosity at the door, just being like, I want to go do parkour,
mm,
and having that. And I've been following Marcello for years and I was like, now is the best time ever to do it. So it's like gone. I was doing parkour before him, but very much open, and he had more of an internal side to it. The question you asked me, sorry, the question you asked me is the relationship. I'm telling you the whole journey that I went on.
I'm enjoying
And
the
through
journey.
his work, it just got more and more kind of internal. And the relationship from fitness till now has been one of like certain things I knew I was getting into and certain things I didn't, it's it's ongoing. Yeah, he brought me into fear of heights, stuff I didn't know I was afraid of.
Mm,
Um Meditation and sitting still for 40 minutes and we went over to Vienna and did it for an hour. or like long sessions. And we climbed bridges and I jumped into water, which I couldn't swim. Uh, didn't learn when I was younger. So just
Right.
loads of stuff you're coming up against. And the relationship with that was, I didn't realize how afraid of lots of things I am. I was
Yeah.
afraid of doing anything. That was my first time leaving the country for long term and took a lot of risks. And now it's more just like got to the point where I'm just like it's more an ongoing thing. You have to manage the week, your job, other things like that. So I lean into other things when I need it. So before our call, I did meditation and shaking and all this stuff because exactly now I'll talk 1,000 miles an hour and share loads, but I try to use whatever I need to be able to do whatever I need in the moment. So that doesn't
Yeah.
answer it, but it's kind of a bit of it. You think about the week that you
Yeah.
have multiple things on, you relate to different things in different ways. If I'm relating to myself in terms of handstands, it's that I'm trying to remain calm. When I'm relating to acrobatics, it's a different Adam. Adam is trying to express when I'm doing XYZ. Um,
Mm.
and it has informed a lot, not just about me, but the relationship with others. Like, by being a bit more sensitive and being a bit more calm, I'm a better partner for sure.
Mm.
Like with my partner now, currently we're nearly 3 years together, and um, I'm a better partner than I was when I was younger.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel, not disconnected from what it is that I'm doing week to week. Um, but it's ongoing. Like
Yeah.
it's ongoing,
Yeah.
it's a dance. I feel that's the main point from this is that sometimes I'm very perfectionist and harsh to myself. And sometimes I understand it and recognize it and I pull back and I'm a little bit sounder. And I just try my best to get back on the good train. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like it is keeping that openness is a word that you've said a few times. It feels very spacious. It feels very much in alignment with this of like being open to the different parts of you that you meet, engaging in
Yeah.
different things, or like the different versions of you that show up in different days, or the different like a movement could be amazing one day, the next day you do the same thing and it's wobbly or
Yeah.
it's off or whatever else. So it's maintaining that openness and then curiosity. The word
Mhm.
compassion come into mind of that you need to meet yourself with that compassion as well to be like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
This is where I'm at.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
just be on that journey with yourself as opposed to having this kind of maybe hierarchy where you're looking down on yourself or getting like
Mhm.
frustrated or annoyed with yourself.
Yeah.
And games and things like that, I feel like come into your practice a bit,
Yeah.
at least a little bit anyway. How do you feel like the role of play or having that kind of approach to things helps?
Um, so I'll speak about it's all relation. So we'll probably just keep pulling back to relation.
Yeah.
A relationship because of the structured, ordered work that I've done to play has been one of. I feel like the whole conversation about it is dance. It's
Mhm,
around the dance back and forth. So imagine like a power lifter, just all powerlifting tried to then go into ballet
mhm.
and they would have a really hard time potentially or not depending on the person, but I feel like that's a dance, right? You need structured and ordered work and you need to play and express yourself. And in the last year, I've been trying to verbalize it a lot more because I went into a phase of handstands and strength training just on their own. And I was like, no, like the more mass, I'm doing this 3 days a week, regardless. I don't care what's going on. It's over. And it's like, because I want this skill to improve and I'm going to show up and I'll do half the program or the full program, but I'm doing the program. And that side is really useful because it helped me get to the highest point I have with handstands. But when it's gone too far, you forget to play, and you forget that it's not possible to turn that off. Someone I studied with, who gave me a map of building your own philosophy was you have Adam as a kid, Adam now, and Adam in the future, and you create an average of what all they want and need. Like you basically build different networks of what's important for all of them, and then that will create an average. And that average is your wants and needs and what you're after, basically.
Yes.
And it's a very useful one because it pulls me back to like I'm focused on maybe 2 years being a dad in around that roughly. I don't know. It might happen before, but I'm focused on that, and that's Adam future, and in blah blah blah. And Adam now is also based in what I'm doing, building the thing. But Adam as a kid needs to enter the chat at some point, and if he doesn't, it starts to become just purely future orientated. So um that's that's tricky. It's a
Mm.
tricky one. But I think if we go back to what role it has, it's what humans have done throughout history forever.
Yeah.
Forever. Like, if you think of, I'll actually ask you a question is, what is your most vivid memory of play in your either childhood or some point in life?
Straight away is like playing bulldog. I don't know if you know that one in the school yard, and
What
just
is
like
that?
sprinting, trying everyone bulldog. You have to like get past. There's like some people are making like a wall. Like there's people, and you have to try and get past them to the other end, and
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like sprint as fast as possible
yeah.
through. Funnily enough,
Yeah,
not a
so
gym came to mind
it's
first.
there. It's like
Yeah.
there straight away, right? So for me, it was the most memorable thing was when me and my friends, we one day were just going through the forest, like swinging sticks and breaking things, and then started throwing it as a spear messing. And then out of nowhere, we clicked into five warriors. So we all had names. Like I was Bino, there was one called Sweaty, Papusa, Babusa, all this stuff. And for 6 months straight, we became them characters and went through the forest and built huts and spears and stuff. And I just always remember that because I was like, it was immersive. It
Mm,
was super immersive, and uh, I feel like that's what play does. It
yes.
really immerses you into the present, but it also just it's super creative, and it uses that part of your brain that's just lit up, and it's joy. You
Yeah.
know, you when you said that straight away, you were smiling.
Yeah.
So I feel like uh, that joy, if you look into any ancient traditions, is the natural state
Yeah.
of where we are. So it's a super important thing.
Yeah.
Always has. It's just about dosage again because it happens, and I'm very like pattern focused. When I notice something in myself or I see it happening, I try to I'm aware of it and I'm trying to pull it back in or learn about it and try to resolve it, let's say. And I'm also, as a teacher, I try to highlight that for some people because it's just so they don't go down too far one route.
Yeah.
But they need to do it themselves and figure it out as well. But it's just more highlighting it so people are aware. So in movement, when some people get really obsessed with play, that's they go off and it's like maybe it goes too far and then you're like, oh, what am I actually doing? I don't know why I did this.
Yeah.
Because maybe you just needed an hour a week of open play. You didn't need to go and do a 6 month course. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't need to fully go there and forget about all your responsibilities and your day to
Yeah.
day, but you just need to sprinkle it in. And I did that. I was like, right, I haven't played in years. It's like gone, and then see you later. Bye bye responsibilities. So I feel like micro dosing play is probably what we need to.
Yeah.
As someone who doesn't do mushrooms or anything, I like to use that expression all the time. But like micro dose play first, and then enjoy it, and then know that the other stuff is just as important.
Yeah.
It has a massive role because I feel like everything these days now has gone towards performance, and we do fitness, but now we do fitness and we're signing up to high rocks and we're doing, multiple competitions and like, but
Mm.
wait, I just wanted to feel good.
Yeah.
Why am I doing high rocks again? And it's because, well, maybe you didn't even choose that. It's
Mm.
it's been chosen for you. And that's the side of like maybe you go down that route after 6, 12 months, 2 years, and you're like, why am I doing this again?
Mm.
And that's where self comes into all this, that I feel like each person needs to follow their journey, and they need to go on them things that are, you said, pulling them.
Yeah.
So I followed them with maybe some of them impulsive and some of them maybe are like genuine. I need to go find out what happens when I do this. And some of them have came with some good outcomes and some of them just went nowhere. The experience wise has helped me with other parts of life, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, play is key in short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And even the way you've kind of spoken about it there, it feels to me like a pathway home to yourself, to that joy in a sense, which is like our natural state of well-being, or like feeling
Mm,
good. And when we move away from that, we notice because it doesn't feel good anymore. And it's like, come back to yourself. So like
for
sprinkling
sure.
that in as well, I think helps us get out of the head and into the body. We notice that in schools when we bring in like a game, like they might be like a group of teenagers who are a little bit like, oh, what's coming up? And they might be kind of head down. We get into a game and they light up, like you said, and there's this joy
Yeah.
and like the energy completely moves and shifts. And it's like, "Ah," and then we can get into the stuff or whatever. But it does just
Mhm.
need that little sprinkle to be like, we're all humans. Like we have these bodies that we
Yeah.
can move around in. Like how cool is that? Let's kind of get into it for a bit and get out of
Yeah.
the stuff that we're trying to
Mm.
always consume and take in, and like that tap back into our natural creative expression again.
Yeah. I think with what you were saying there as well, like just because maybe like it's just to balance things out, is the not feeling too good. Now that's where I feel like when you need to also do stuff that doesn't feel nice. If you go into like some a qigong, some practices you sit in a squat for like 2 to 5 minutes. And
Yeah,
that's another layer of you like that you you uh, sitting in uncomfortable sensations, you
yes,
know. So that's what I try in movement practice Dublin. I try my best to bring engagement in, bring in this connection. A lot of that is what we do to get people out. Like they've just done a full day on the laptop. It's like engage with people. You've had your head down and doing laptop work. It's like engage with people, swap the partner work around, get to know different people. That's also meeting you. And then, you know, then we might go into tasks that are like, this is not nice.
yeah,
You know, like we're gonna do this. One of the students, I did it for a 9 minute bear crawl. So we crawled from one side of the park to the other, but the whole goal was stay calm and
yeah,
relax and try to work through it. And you're not allowed to stand up, but you stay. And that's it. It's also useful because again, you can go too far with one, you
yeah.
know. So the other needs to be met, you know. So that is something I really want to try to balance out myself. It's again, it's a dance, but also make sure that people, because the entertainment world is growing massively in movement as well. You go to a gym now and it's like strobe lights and high fives and banging music, and you're like, okay, they've just experience wise, it's super stimulating and it's dopamine, it's matching everything. And then the other side, it's like you're going to yoga, and it's like there should be somewhere in between. We need to do a little bit of both and not have them so far disconnected. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
That
With
side of it.
the meditation that you would have done, and it's just coming in now, do you feel like you kind of approach movement as like a moving meditation? Like you're quite present with the experience, similar as you would be, you're sitting in meditation, but like just thinking of the bear crawl, I feel like that would nearly be like meditation, that like a thought might come up is like, oh, how much longer? Or do we need to keep
Yeah.
doing this? And you're just staying present with yourself. Is that what was the role, I suppose, of doing the meditation in your trainings?
That's still it's still ongoing. So the beginning was more like there's loads of different practices. Like one, like your scientific side of it. Like you've read a good bit into this now, I think. Like, um, but like there's certain stretches from yoga, like the Mahamudra. It's working on your vagal nerve and the tone of the vagus nerve, and that helps you get into a calmer state before you meditate. There's you know, shaking, which is a moving meditation, which I found now when I first started, it was seated and it was long duration seated with breath counts, heart rate variability, blood pressure, and then long duration sits and just scanning the body. But then at there's certain points in life that doesn't work too well, because if you're super stimulated from work or whatever you're going through at that time. It's like sitting in an oven. In terms of that, I noticed from some of the practice I got involved, I needed to find something else because having ADHD and also just going through periods where it's like sitting down is like sitting in an oven. And
Mhm.
I'd started doing moving meditations where, have you ever seen it's not the crane, it's the herring along the river?
Mm,
And have you ever seen how they walk and they do this
yeah.
and you don't see a splash? So one of the days I saw that in Herbert Park and I was like, they're the masters,
Mm,
they're masters of silence. And I put it into my classes and it really helped a lot of people who really struggle with sitting and counting the breath and doing stuff like that. So it's context related for different people. So someone who's neurodivergent or someone who's very spicy, like in the brain, they need probably more moving meditation, and then slowly, maybe they're doing bits, and then they can go towards this, and then get somewhere close, maybe to just getting a little bit more comfortable with it.
yeah.
Um, so the meditation side of it is really important because to be able to feel where your body is in space in a handstand, which you can look at it from strength, squeeze every muscle and stay stiff, and then focus on the hands. You can also look at it from the lens of being able to sense where things are in space and when they move. Same way acrobatics, when you do a cartwheel, you can just throw yourself at it, or you can really sense the weight shift from hand to hand and
Mm,
where your body's in space. And both are not right or wrong, like, but the internal side, I feel, gives you that more sensitivity, like working with where you feel things,
yeah.
um, and it really goes further and further, like the one I'm studying now, which I'm not fully understanding it, but I'm getting it bit by bit, is called it's a model called biotensegrity. And that really looks at the body not as parts, but as a connected piece from head to toe. So
Mm,
it's looking at your body like, it's a connected web of fascia the whole way throughout the whole system. And it's super complex, but it's something that I believe when I'm doing some moving meditation, I can feel it. But then with certain strength training, I don't feel it as much.
mm,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's going to be the next phase, is really just see if I'm studying it, see if I can really connect that and know it very well. But it's going to take a lot more studying of this, so internal, in short, it has a very big effect. Like dancers are the best because they have this really beautiful awareness of their body. They do shapes and sizes and things that you're like, how is that possible? Because they
Mm,
just have a really, really good connection of their entire body. So um, that's why they're super fascinating, even just to watch on Instagram.
yeah.
Uh, yeah,
It's amazing. Yeah, seeing just that kind of play with the potential of the body, but even the deeper understanding of the body, I think allows that to expand even more. You mentioned parkour earlier. I used to dabble a little bit in parkour, and I remember going out with the lads. Their whole perspective of the environment even was so different. Like
Mhm.
it was a whole playground for them, and how they interacted with everything, but how they could see their bodies moving through space, like to go from A to B, or to
Yeah,
use these different things that to most other people is like, oh, it's just a rail or it's just a bin. But they're like, oh, I can do this to this. And it's like, it
uh-huh.
completely opens your mind. And even with that relationship with the body, it sounds like it opens you to like, okay, I'm this one fluid kind of system. Like, how do these different things impact different parts of me, or how can I use this in different ways? So I love that, just the ongoing exploration and inquisitiveness. I think that comes with that as well, as you're relating to yourself.
There's I'll send you a screenshot from this week. We did a lecture just on this.
Oh, yeah.
The history behind this is also really like, this could be another conversation completely, but the history behind certain disciplines is just, it's so beautiful. Like parkour and a lot of these, the more environmental practices, was always about, exploring the limits, but also just like your relationship with the environment.
Mm.
Like looking when you go outside, I've done it with some of the people that come to my classes. She came out and we did a balance session on the rail, or we did something, and then she's sending me pictures of rails near her house and where it is and stuff. And I was like, I sent her text like, "You will never look at the environment ever again." Same,
Yeah.
and it always happens with my partner. We're walking by, and then I'm like taking a picture and sending her, either her or me the pinned location, because I'm like, this is a great spot.
Yeah.
Um, so that if you think about it, it gets you to look up, and just take things in a little bit more. So that has a big effect.
Exactly.
And I think you were asking about like what for young people. There was a question we were chatting about, and it was like that would be a wish, like a wish for to just go out and explore it really. Because when I look back at my kid, I tried parkour, but just like, climb this. We did obstacle course races through our back garden. So we would climb the shed, down along a wall, jump into the garden. You'd have a neighbor shout at you, and then you're jumping over and running and dropping and rolling. And they're the best times ever.
Mm.
So I think if more people went out and did that, we would have just a completely different field of movement. Like
Yeah.
that would just be unreal, because I feel like I feel like it's happening now. There's way more people popping up, like loads of dancers, big events now in Dublin, a lot more lately. And there's a big parkour group in Dublin.
Mm.
Um, it just seems to be surfacing more and more. And I think it's needed,
Yeah.
because if you're a young kid that, like me, you're a bit of a weirdo. Uh, you're a bit hyper, and you want to go out into the world. You need to find something that is gonna suit you, rather than going down the route of following certain things that they're not. It's not you. It's maybe someone said you need to change your body because of XYZ, or you need to be more muscly as a man, or maybe it's that you are, overweight and you should do this. And it's like, maybe no, maybe go to a dance class and feel good, and then maybe you'll lose weight naturally, and maybe don't even lose weight and you just love it and you love movement. And that's another possibility. And you could get super fit, like dancers are super fit. And that will serve you really well, and instead of going and hating the circuits and stuff, and you do that for ages, or go and do parkour and enjoy it, like really go out and jump on things and climb things, but get guidance also. Like
Yeah.
go and don't, like, because you can go off, and guidance is the key to it also going somewhere, in terms of like not just like outcome, but really like knowing the cultures that do it, like
Mm.
knowing where it came from and studying it, and really like one of the disciplines that we do some of the stuff is capoeira. Some of their movements are in our acrobatic class, and I always like, this is from capoeira, this is from here, this is from here. So you're kind of paying back respect to whoever it is that you're studying, because they have laid the foundations for capoeira comes from long lineage of, like, slavery first, and the whole history behind that is super important to just highlight. And same with dance now. I'm going into breaking this year, and I have a teacher who I first did hip hop with, and I'm trying to do work with him, because he explained the culture very well, and um the good and bad and the ugly, and to respect it fully, because that's something I feel is, you know the roots need to be respected. Yeah, on that side. you know
Yeah.
People have
100%.
laid down so much work for this stuff, and you're
Mm.
exploring it, but it's good to know more and more about it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
beautifully said. And like that, yeah, with young people, there's obviously a different set of challenges, I suppose, now, and we do see it, like even just the nature of how things are set up, where you're sitting in a classroom for hours a day or things like that. That, from my perspective, it's the most unnatural thing that we should be doing, especially when we are younger, or when there is that inclination to be more explorative or to be playing. And
Yeah.
for yourself, with your journey, it sounds like, okay, with some of the examples of the wires and the sticks and stuff like that, like there was some elements of play, there was things that you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, just from your experience with obviously now movement is a big part of your life, and there was a time when maybe you weren't as connected to it, or it sounds like you were to some degree as you're growing up, but then when it came to maybe
Mm.
not being connected, whether your emotional side might have turned more towards less resourceful ways of dealing with things like that, like the drink, drugs, smoking and
Yeah.
things like. If you were to speak to your younger self or even young people now who might be like that in some kind of rigid movement practice or might not be moving
Yeah.
into it, what would you have done differently? Or is there anything that you feel like could have helped you to navigate those times a bit better? If that makes sense.
Just like be kind, like that's the hardest thing, is to be kind to yourself. Like, I know so much of this stuff on social media is, and everything else is super repetitive in terms of all these things that you're told to do, but that that's it's a ongoing process, but it's the probably the best thing you can do from the beginning. Is like, everyone, right? You've been on your journey with certain things, and nobody can get you out of that in terms of when you're in it. They can't say anything that, unless you're willing to hear it, then it's not gonna land. But if there was anything, it's like, be kind to yourself, like, be sound, be like a good person, because none of that stuff, none of the stuff makes you a better person. Just because you can do handstands, or you're more fit and you've got six pack and stuff, doesn't mean that you're a good person. So being sound and, a bit more kind will go a long way,
Mm,
in short.
yeah.
And in terms of the what would I have done if I look back, there just wasn't as much options now. And there's probably too much options. And if I was speaking to kids now this day, I don't know what their experience is like right now, because we had the Xbox and stuff, and that came in, and I was hooked to that. But like, now it's just a different ball game altogether. But go outside, try to find other weird people that like the weird things, because usually they're your people,
Yeah.
because when I was younger, it was the GA, hurling, football, and then the gym only started to, like, lots of people that I grew up with only started going to the gym and they're maybe going to 20s and stuff, and then it's exploded now. But like, go and do theater, go to dance, go and do the weird stuff, explore everything and just remain open,
Yeah.
because the level of openness to go into this stuff you need to be higher in openness, because even if it's not your personality type, go do it anyway. Like, if I yeah if I could just go back, I would have done theater. I would have started dancing from a young age, um and I would have not been so afraid to try stuff.
Mm.
Just like, it's not that big of a deal, because if it goes back, it's like, if you're a dickhead and you sorry, that was my first curse. I did pretty good the whole thing. uh, if you're a dickhead and you have a six pack, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? You're still a dickhead. So like, try to be sound to yourself and be sound to other people, and then go and enjoy whatever it is that's pulling you, and don't think about it too much.
Mm,
Because I think that's the problem, is I'm still susceptible, whether it's this that I've been born gifted with, to overthinking. And I do it still with the studies that I'm doing, and I'm trying my best to stop overthinking things and just go into it.
yeah.
Just start, and just start the process. And even if it's, you start off, like, I went on before I went to a dance class because I was too afraid. I did YouTube. I started doing the moonwalk on at home. I did all the footwork and stuff like that. Um, but go out there, if you're not too afraid, go out there and do it and try things. And there's no such thing as failure or success. They're all words that are made up by people that are trying to push something.
Mm,
So just go and do it. Um, don't hold back. If you're young, especially, every kid hears this. Is like, if you're young, you've time, all this stuff. You don't realize how little time you have.
mm,
I'm 35 next month, and it's like, I feel like I'm already in my 60s. I can see it already. I'm like, I'm not that far from retirement. So I'm like everything I'm doing it fully now. It's like, no, do the group fully, set up school, go for it, go and
Mm,
do everything, enjoy, try your best to get out of this and start getting into the body as much as you can. In
amazing.
short, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
well said. I love that even of like you'll find your people that way because I think and something that
Mm,
I feel like comes from your work or what I've seen in it is the sense of community of coming together and sharing this practice,
mm,
being together with it, which I think we need so
mm,
more of this connection and like in the world and in person and
yeah,
outside of the phones and things like that. So I think it's a really beautiful way to find those people and like that with the parkour.
mm.
Such a beautiful community. Like anytime they're so supportive or they're just encouraging and it's like
Oh yeah,
that's who you want to be surrounded with is people who are open and who are curious and who want to enjoy that as well with you.
yeah.
So many benefits.
Yeah, community is something that I tried to do this during the week. Was it's a word that is used a lot these days, but I feel like someone needs to set it up, and then you need to get some people who are super behind it. Like the parkour community is a natural. You can see it in Dublin. Like I think there's like, I left the WhatsApp because I think there's like 500 people in there,
Yeah,
but I just was like, I have too many WhatsApp groups, but
yeah,
they are in, like, and they're super supportive. I know some of them, and they're really nice guys, and they're setting up meetups and doing things that are not too expensive. And um, I think if that's something that I took from like leaving the country doing anything, excuse me, doing leaving the country, is I didn't realize how important community was. Um, and I think some narratives in the fitness side is very individualistic, and you need both. You
yeah,
need to be able to do your individual work and go off and do it yourself, but you also definitely need community no matter what. It's so foundational for
mm,
everything we do, and having people there to support you and know that you're on a similar journey, and have those conversations. Um, but it takes time. You go into different groups and maybe you don't feel at home there. Um, but you have to give it time. But you'll find the tribe. That's it. You'll find it or build it. So any young person, go out and build it. Also,
yeah.
make one.
Yeah.
Create it. That's
That's
it.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it is in that listening to yourself that you will find those people by listening to those nudges that pull for you individually as opposed to like what's everyone else doing. If
Mhm.
you follow those threads, you'll find it. Thank you so much, and yeah, I've loved seeing your journey and the different things that you're bringing forward, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Could probably keep going for ages,
Yeah.
but we
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
do a
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there
Perfect.
anything you wanna share with anyone listening about what you're up to? Any final messages or anything that where people can find
Um.
you? Stuff.
So in short, like if they're in Dublin, they can come, and we have an intro to movement to offer that's open with no commitment. We do memberships and stuff like that. That'd be one if they want to come and just try it out, dip the toes. I'm also open to
Mhm.
online coaching. If someone wants to, like we were talking about, explore the environment, they want to build a movement practice and uh, jump into that world, I'm here for online coaching. So yeah, you can get me on my
Brilliant.
website or Instagram.
Fantastic. And that's Movement Practice
Yeah,
Dublin, yeah?
yeah, yeah. Or
Amazing.
adamosullivan.com. You can reach out as well.
Lovely. Okay, fantastic. Well, thank you so much,
Yeah,
Adam. As I said, it's been an absolute pleasure. Look forward to seeing how you
yeah,
integrate all the new learnings as you keep moving. And I will chat to you so
yeah.
soon. Thank you. And thank you guys for
Thank you.